welcome to Mecha from Japan. My name is Musashi, and tonight we're joined with multiple people.
Hi.
Hi, Anastasia. You're the normal Mecha from Japan.
I'm always here.
I know, and I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. But tonight we also have another guest. It is Henry here to talk about
Evangelion.
Evangelion, yes. Well, Henry, thank you for joining. Welcome to our Mecha from Japan fun.
Thank you for having me.
The podcast episode tonight is Why is Evangelion so popular? Now, neither one of you knew that's what I was actually going to title it. But that's what I decided after having watched it, that what's interesting to me, because I just watched the whole Netflix version. Anastasia watched the Netflix version with me at about the same time.
Yeah.
But we have you here, Henry, because you're our Evangelion expert. Certainly far more expert than she and I.
Yeah.
We're new devotees to it. So Anastasia, you watched it about the same time I did. So we're only 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in?
Yeah, we're only about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks with how time is turning nowadays. But I watched all of it, and you watched the original series.
Okay, so right, that's important to cover. Sort of where we are with it. And so for Mecha for Japan, we do a variety of topics that relate to things at the Gun for Japan store. Here we are in Tampa, Florida. But for me, was that I've known what Evangelion was since the thing's come out.
Yeah.
I've seen it playing in the background, and I mean, it's not like I don't know what it was. But then Netflix got it, so I've known about it. We've been selling Evangelion kits for 10 years.
Yeah.
But it got on Netflix. What Henry? Do you know roughly, or Anastasia? When, like 2-3 years ago?
I'd say probably a little longer.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's been 4 years. I don't know if it was before
Maybe.
COVID. So Netflix is important about getting it to the masses, including me, who's not going to go through a specially amount of work to go see something that it's not the first thing I would watch normally. But you and I, despite its relative ease of watching, Anastasia and I watch lots of other things.
Yeah.
I'm super into Kamen Rider. We do Kamen Con, the podcast. It's on YouTube as well. You've been on the Kamen Con podcast too.
Have indeed.
And then Henry, you've come into the store as a customer and a friend of ours. And so we had the unique opportunity of having a number of Evangelion fans, but you especially. So thank you for joining again, because it's really your expertise that is going to let us offset two newbie-ish. So there's two other main things with Evangelion being available on Netflix. I have only watched what have I watched, Henry? What's on Netflix?
Netflix is just, you have the original series, which is just episodes 1 through 26. And then after that, you have the actual movie, which is End of Evangelion, which is just like a separate ending, I guess you could call it.
I know it gets a little confusing because I've had this explained to me over years, but what I watched was the first 26 episodes.
Yeah. So that's the original series.
That's the original series. It is not truncated, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And what year did it come out? Do you know? Ballpark?
95.
95.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what I've watched. I've watched 26 episodes, and so I'm establishing who knows what.
Yes.
Anastasia, you have watched what?
End of Evangelion on top of the regular show, and Rebuild.
The Rebuild movies,
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Henry, what have you seen? The whole shebang?
I've seen all of it, and I've read a lot of it as well.
Well, thank you. Why I'm keeping it to why is Evangelion popular? Because there'll be a lot of people that haven't seen it at all. So we should not even attempt to explain. Well, you should, and everyone's done this in here. Watch this one, then watch that one. And this one, he was depressed, and this one, he was whatever. I mean, we'd have 20 minutes of just explaining how this all we got. But I just want to know from you, especially Henry, but also from Anastasia, who's a little further along than I am, and also just your opinion. Why is it so flippin' popular? So when I started the business 10 years ago, and then also just having been so familiar with Japanese stuff, Evangelion has been something that I've known all along was more than just an anime. There's Ghost in the Shell, there's Akira, there's some big things. And that was a big thing, and I knew it was a big thing, even without being super savvy, because customers would come in the store, tattoos.
Oh.
Yep.
They have tattoos of Evangelion all the time. So this engenders a level of passion. Really?
Let's just be quiet for a few minutes.
No, we'll just leave this in. So there's a Cuban motorcycle.
Oh, he's gone. I think did he rub off?
He peeled off. I called it.
Let's go.
I called it.
So for those of you wondering what we're giggling, before we podcast, right outside the window here at the store, there's there's a Cuban barbershop, and they have one guy has a very loud motorcycle, which normally I would love.
Yeah.
As I love motorcycles and I love Kamen Rider. But as you're about to start a podcast, not so bueno.
No, not so much.
Henry, you speak Spanish, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
We'd have had to send you out there and be like, yo, hit the road.
We have to talk about Evangelion.
All right, so I was talking, what was I talking about? We're talking about motorcycles, which normally I love to talk about.
The importance of Evangelion.
You were talking about the customers, how you knew it because of the tattoos and all that, how you knew it was going to be more than just an anime.
Why is Evangelion popular? And I knew immediately as soon as I saw people having tattoos. Now, I knew what it was, but I didn't quite understand it meant that much to people. So some years ago, I went and looked up, and you can get Shinji's father's sunglasses.
Oh, Gendo's?
Yeah.
They make a lot of merch for this thing, too.
Yeah.
There's not a ton, maybe like Kamen Rider tons, but there's a lot of merch.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So that was my intersection with it, why I knew it was serious and so forth. Now, Anastasia, did you know it was a gigantic thing because of that kind of reason?
The only reason I knew it was so big was because of the big statue in Japan. Beyond that, my only relationship with Evangelion would be one of my old friends constantly sending me this one specific GIF of Asuka.
Okay.
It was not positive, and that's all I knew about it.
Well, I believe there's also a smutty world of Evangelion out running around, but that's probably true of most animes.
Yeah.
Henry, what got you into Evangelion initially?
For me, it was a buddy of mine recommended it to me, and I was scrolling through Netflix, I was bored, and this was when I had a lot of time. I was watching a lot of anime, and I was like, okay, this show looks interesting. I saw a trailer. I was like, oh, it's a mecha, so I was like, okay, let me watch this. And I ended up watching the whole 26 episodes through, and it just, to me, it was kind of like eye-opening, life-changing. It was everything about it, just the way Hideaki Ano wrote everything about it and just kind of did everything with all these characters and changed all that. It made me fall in love with it and just kind of have a connection with it. And I think I started it was during that time when Netflix released it. It was like 2019, I think. It was like 5 or 6 years ago, so I've been liking it for a while.
Yeah, so maybe it has been that long too. I mean, I don't doubt it. Maybe because that makes you kind of new. But what's interesting is, doesn't matter how long ago you saw it. It has a real impact on many people. It did for me up until a point.
It got psychological.
Well,
Super.
So what happened? We'll talk about what happened to me personally with it. Is as I'm about 2/3 of the way through. I don't know what it wasn't about episodes, but maybe. Two-thirds of the way in, I couldn't wait to see what happened. I'm finally understanding why it's such a thing. Now, that's my experience. But it didn't end well for me in that it gets so esoteric, wacky, which, of course, it's known for.
Yeah.
But it gets so 2001 Space Odyssey, this gets to mean for you. It's all this super... And it wasn't unintelligible. I get it. It was like it was like going to psych class and sitting on a Freud's couch and the whole thing. I mean, I kind of get it. But it was a little too far out for me. And so I went from really invested, really thinking this, no wonder everybody gets tattoos, to like now I feel like, because I haven't watched the movies, which I know both of you said, and everyone tells me, you got to watch the movies because of XYZ reason. The 26 episodes, I'm left with, okay, I was really into it. And I get why people like this, but it had no lasting impact on me. I'm not dying to go back and watch even the movies. I'm going to watch them just so that I can get to the reason that you're supposed to care. So that really matters because, Anastasia, you have, and I'll ask Henry the same thing, you've now seen 1 or 2 of the movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you feel any of that I'm talking about? And what did the movies significantly impact your enjoyment?
Yes. I'm also, I like open-ended endings, but not that much. I appreciated the psychological impact it had, but I also wanted a definitive ending and something to look for that wasn't all grim and dark and angry, kind of. So the movies, I won't say the end, of course, gave at least some closure to me, where it made more sense. The 3rd film was something. The 4th film, good times had by all.
Okay.
In the Evangelion sense, and that's where I'll leave it. I enjoyed myself, though.
And Henry, what do you think the movies are critical to not being left with what I was left with?
Definitely. For you, you'll definitely like it because there's a lot more action. There's a lot more, I guess, there's still the psychological aspect to it, but there's more enjoyment to it because what you get is the show itself. I see the ending, well, the show, the movie, and then the other rebuild movies, which is the 4 movies. I see them more as like different endings, but kind of like it all encapsulates and it's important because you have the original series, which obviously spoiler warning for everybody who hasn't seen it. the original series, it kind of cuts off with, I'd say, the good ending or the positive ending of Shinji realizing, oh, I don't have to, hate myself, or I don't have to dislike this or distrust in people. I can try and find and accept the faults that I have and kind of go on with it. And it was just like, okay, you get the congratulations ending, and then that's kind of where you're like, I kind of wanted a different ending. So then you get End of Eva, which I'd say is more like the bad ending, but it's the one that gives you the closure of what happens, I guess, in a sense, because then you get the, it's a lot. It's just a whole lot going on. But then at the end of it, when after that you get the rebuild movies, which the first rebuild movie is just a recap of the couple first episodes. It ends off with Ramio, which is the giant triangle one with the, where they have to use the photon rifle and all that. And then after that, they follow some things, but then that's when they start changing it in the second movie. And personally, to me, the second movie is my favorite. But the second, third, and fourth movie are really good, and they're very enjoyable. And I would say that to you, you'll probably like it way more because there's more like to it than that. It's not as, depressing or super psychological. I will admit, though, on the fourth movie, it does get, a little psychological, but just everything, it's so pretty, the action, everything, it'll like even out, it's a good ending.
Well, I didn't dislike it, but like I'm watching Kamen Rider Kuga right now, and it's my favorite Kamen Rider ever. So we've got some Kuga stuff coming up on Kamen Con on the other podcast, but I'm 2 episodes from being finished, and we had this with Witcher Mercury on the Mecha from Japan thing. I'm not saying that everybody doesn't want a nice ending or want the ending that they want. I'm okay with some artistic ending, and I was okay with the psychological part of it. I mean, I kind of get it. Yeah. But the ending for me, because my little simplistic brain wants things wrapped up nice, not necessarily a happy ending, and it wasn't that it was confusing, but like with Kuga, there's 2 episodes left. Now, this is Kamen Rider. There's no way this doesn't end well, right? I mean, I seriously doubt that he's going to die. I mean, I just find that hard to believe. But if it doesn't end well, I mean, I love Kuga like no other Kamen Rider I've seen. If this doesn't end well, it's going to color my opinion on the whole thing. So Eva was definitely, the ending was like, it was intellectual. It was, and then everybody says, now you both have said, I'm going to enjoy, the movies will have a little more of a, everybody says, well, Anno was depressed and then he wasn't depressed. I mean, everybody says this. I think it's because he said it.
Probably.
Yeah.
So it's very apparent.
Well, speaking of a Kamen Rider, the other interesting part about why is Evangelion so popular, you watched it recently with me, Anastasia.
Yes.
And Henry's been at it for 5 years, since the Netflix era. But anyone who watched this thing, because it's been out for decades before any of us watched it, I don't know when the movies came out, and that isn't important, but some people, Evangelion became a thing without the movies. So I think that weird... Yeah, like it was almost like sophisticated. You're kind of the cool kid in school if you liked all that weirdness, and you could fill in the blanks yourself. And you think that long ago, there probably wasn't that much stuff on anime, much less TV, that was that intellectually and psychologically deep. Because Evangelion, when people say, your average American, they don't anime is Bugs Bunny. I mean, they just don't know the difference. They think it's Hanna-Barbera. Where if you didn't know, if you watched Evangelion, that's not a cartoon, brother. Do you think, Henry, that's what Evangelion maybe helped contribute to anime being taken very seriously as an art form?
Definitely. Everybody's going to look at anime and be like, oh, it's a kid's thing. Only kids watch it. It's like, oh, watch Evangelion. I want you to say that with a straight face after you watch it. And then it's like, okay, what about now? Okay, I see your point.
Anastasia, where do you, I mean, we don't have a sense because we weren't watching it in the 90s, but I mean, it's not the only serious. I mean, the whole anime genre it's not cartoon. Very little of it's cartoon-like. We watch Studio Ghibli in the store for the Bear Guy. We have a Bear Guy movie night, and while it's very cute, it's just so heartfelt, and you lose yourself in the characters. I mean, it barely. Kids love watching which one? Kiki's Delivery Service, and even that show is cutesy, almost Disney-like as it is. Didn't you think that was quite heartfelt?
It was very heartfelt.
Almost adult.
There was moments where it was adult.
Yeah.
Tackling some identity crisis, I guess.
Well, that's right. In coming of age, that's where I'm thinking of one of the fluffiest ones that's popular, and even that has a level of depth. And this is where I think anime, but especially, can get all the way to Evangelion levels of we're going to treat the audience with a serious mindset.
Well, it's like you said, like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, stuff like that. All of those are very good. Definitely, that's like, oh, it's a kids thing. It's like, watch those. You it won't be a kid
Yeah,
thing.
those particular, those tent poles. Char's counterattack is kind of well known too.
Yep.
But for me, it was that what really helped, not just to watch it, I enjoyed watching. I didn't dislike Evangelion. But for me, I then fairly recently watched Shin Master Rider. So Shin Master Rider, and Anastasia was watching just last night, I think.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite things ever made by mankind ever, but that's because it's a 2-hour encapsulation of the original Kamen Rider show, and Hideaki Ano is famous for loving Kamen Rider.
You should watch it again after you watch the Eva stuff.
Oh, I watch Shin Master Rider every couple days.
No, but after you see the movies,
Yeah.
it's like crazy. It's crazy.
I've watched it so much that I will watch it again because it's not twisting my arm to do so. But the reason it matters is that we saw in the theaters with a store group when Shin Godzilla came out.
Yes.
So he's now almost better known because it's more recent than his Eva stuff is for Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, which I haven't seen, and I love Ultraman. But I hear Shin Ultraman is the best of the group of the three between Shin Master Rider, Shin Godzilla, and Shin Ultraman. Now, but it's more that he's on this. He's got such street cred from Evangelion that he can get really good productions made, and his style is definitely. And there's a team of people, of course, but his style is undeniable. Shin Master Rider is all him all the way through. It's almost really, truly an adult Kamen Rider, but he loves it. And Henry, we were talking about that before. That there's some rumor about his Kamen Rider addiction.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine, Nick, obviously, which you guys know, and he's been on Comic Con, and he's been talking with you guys before, and he's the whole reason why I'm here. And I did go see Shin Kamen Rider with him in theaters, and I thought it was amazing. But Hideaki Ano, a rumor was going around that he was going to make another Evangelion because he ran out of money because he bought one of the Kamen Rider belts and one of the motorcycles. I forgot from which Kamen Rider it was, but he was making some, like, I heard it was going to be like a lighter tone Evangelion. And I think it's probably going to follow one of the manga spin-offs, just follow that type of thing.
Well, I mean, as a Kamen Rider devotee, I love to hear a guy's going broke. That's what I would do if I had any real money. I know where my free money would go. So I love Shin Master Rider like little else. I really enjoyed Shin Godzilla. Saw it in the theaters when it came out. I haven't Shin Ultraman, and not like that's all he's ever done. But it's for me to get someone to watch Shin Master Rider. I say, what's from the guy from Evangelion, right? So that this giant thing that is so well known and popular, at least is in the consciousness that Evangelion is. Even if people don't know what it is, they know they're supposed to know what it is.
Yeah.
But Anastasia, so with your watching, which is pretty recent, and then you were building the model kits.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I get into something, I get into it deep. So I built the model kits.
Bandai model kits.
Bandai model kits. And I just basically did the, poses and everything that they're best known for.
That's well, let me see that again a little slower. So that's the Spear of Longinus. This one is Unit 0.
Zero.
Whoa.
That one's 0, yep.
This is the prototype, essentially, right?
I'm scared of this thing. I'm deeply scared of it, so I'm just gonna put it back down slowly.
And Ray is in that thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's been a couple weeks, so we've had a hurricane and a couple things that have wiped my brain. So if I say something dumb, you guys could correct me. Shinji, of course, is in the main one there.
Yep.
And
Ava 1.
Him going berserk.
AT field. That's when he's getting in past the AT field, right?
Yep, in the second episode.
Second episode, yeah.
Yep.
So those are, well, we don't have a model review of this, but those are fairly large scale. They look about the size of a master grade Gundam,
about
but
that.
I think they're high grade and they don't even have a math scale.
Yeah, they don't really have a scale.
Would you say it was kind of between low grade and high grade?
Yeah. There was a lot going on.
Did you
Yeah,
enjoy
I'd say so too.
Did you enjoy building them?
I did enjoy building them. It was a really fun experience. It was like nothing else I'd built before.
Were they pretty different builds, or were they the same thing just done with different colors?
Same thing done with different colors.
But yeah, the weapons and the things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Did it help to that once you kind of had the experience of building one, you could get past hard points that?
Oh yeah, there wasn't anything too crazy except at one point you have to rip off a certain part of the arm.
Okay.
That was an experience, and that's all I'll say about that.
Well, speaking of merchandise, Henry has brought a number of things with him because I said there's a lot of merch. So, Henry, what have you brought with you here?
Well, going off of the Hideaki Ano thing, so this manga, it's a spin-off. It's called the Shinji Kai Raising Project, which basically it takes the whole story of Evangelion and it goes off the last episode where it looked like, oh, there's no Evangelions, anything like that. They're just going off of school life. That's basically what this is. It just makes it a rom-com, slice of life, your basic, with the characters.
Right, he had a dream that everything was I was like hoping that was the way it was going to end. I don't care if they're all dead and that's what's going on in his mind. Because I get it, that's kind of what it is, right? It's like, what does he want the reality to be?
Yeah.
It was a possibility, yeah.
I was very okay with that ending. I mean, and I didn't dislike the ending, and it made sense. It was him just envisioning an alternate reality that could exist. I mean, that's what happened, right? That's my proper reading of that. Did you get that? That happy version was one possible version if Shinji essentially decided to make it so.
So you haven't seen End of Eva, right? You haven't seen that movie at all?
I've only seen the 26 episodes.
Okay. So obviously you won't know it just from that because I guess the 26 episodes doesn't show it. So basically, big giant, what they're trying to stop ends up happening in the movie, both the End of Evangelion and then later on in the rebuilds.
The impact thing?
Where the third impact, whatever they want to call it there. But there's kind of this whole conspiracy plan there in the background. Zele, you've seen them a bunch of times. They're trying to reenact the Human Instrumentality Project. Basically, what ends up happening, without going too crazy into spoilers, just to explain that, is just the fact that Shinji ends up becoming the person who decides what happens. That's why you see him seeing all the different things.
Yeah, I kind of got that he had almost like a godlike power to create whatever reality you want at that moment.
Yeah, because the Eva 1, and the impact.
All right, so let's look at your book again, because you could just see from the cover, because I've seen the happy version he envisions. They're all in school, they're all happy.
So joyful.
He gets to basically have multiple girlfriends or something, I forget what, but he's like stupid happy.
That's weird.
No, it's not like that, not in the harem sense. It's more like all the girls want to date him, but it's like, the usual rom-com theme where it's like, oh, I want to confess my feelings, and then it's like nothing happens, kind of like that. That's why you keep reading.
It's my type of story.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not dirty, but I just inserted myself in the movie when I saw that. That's not how I'd have this play out. But, that's just me. But Henry, the cover of that though, you said they might be making something lighter if they went into that world. Oh, it's all kumbaya, gravy.
Yeah, in this, so far, I haven't finished reading it yet. I am currently reading it right now. I did see one of the mechas. If you remember Jet Alone, that was the nuclear one that went out of control and all that, walking. I did see him, so I don't know if they will introduce the Evas, but in terms of the angels and all that, that's not really a plot thing. That's not that's not what's going on. It's kind of to explain kind of what happens in terms of what they're doing. It's just they're all going to school. Shinji's mom is alive, which that isn't, that doesn't happen in the show. And weirdly enough, Gendo, who, you see him always like this, and then he's always serious. Yeah. He's happy, and he's kind of a klutz, which when you think of Gendo Ikari, those are not the two things that you're like.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that being him. But let me take a look at your book. Is it a traditional? No, I mean on the screen. Is it mangas or pictures and stuff, or is it a novel?
It is a manga.
Flip through it just real quick. A lot of people don't know what manga is. Manga is basically really a comic book, right?
Yeah.
It is a manga, yeah.
I mean, that's what I anticipated it to be. But again, we may have someone tuning in doesn't know what the manga is, much less the word. So it's a pictographic thing, and people say they read the One Piece manga because we can read it very quick. Yeah. How fast can you turn pages versus watching something that's presented to you? You have to sit there and watch every second worth, right?
Yep.
So what else have you got there, Henry?
So I have that one. Going off of the original manga, this is this right here. I don't know. I think these are hard to find right now, I'm pretty sure. I was able to get my hands on them when they were still around, and it is a manga just like usual.
Does it read from back to front like
right
Japanese?
to left? Yeah,
like
the usual.
Japanese books do. Yeah. Okay.
So basically, this manga is just the same 26 episode series that you saw. It has an ending. It kind of mixes End of Eva and that, but it changes the ending a little bit, and it tweaks some story things.
You got two other books.
Cool.
What else you got?
Yep. So this one is a spin-off, and it was probably the weirdest spin-off I read. Okay. It's called Campus Apocalypse. Basically, different universe, but they changed it into a monster hunting thing, I guess. It's weird, but basically...
The art looks cool.
Oh, yeah. No, the art's nice. It's the same usual manga as well, right to left. But the actual story is just weird. Rather than the Evangelions being mechs, they're weapons that they summon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's weird. And then the angels are like people, you know, it's like a vampire hunter thing. It kind of plays, it reads like that kind of a little bit. It's just it was weird.
So these alternate things are just taking off on the fact that Shinji can make everything whatever he wants. So you can insert almost anything you want to.
Yeah, it goes off of that like infinite possibility of all that. And then obviously Hideaki Ano could just be like, oh, I want this to happen in Evangelion, and it happens.
Genius. Remind me to write something where I can make up anything and everyone's going to buy it. No matter what I come up.
It's like thinking like, oh, let me grab Gundam, grab every character, and then let's just, Amuro, rather than being this ace, pilot new type, he's just, your average guy, whatever.
Yeah.
We've got evil Spock Gundam. It's called Girin's Greed from the movie. You're right. All right, and then you got one last one.
And then the last one. This one is actually a novel. It's called Evangelion Anima, where basically it takes place after the end of Eva movie, but it adds a lot more of the story to it, and I liked it. It was a little weirder on the sense that it's like you don't really expect the things that are going on, but I do like a lot of the things that are going on, and just kind of the way the story goes and all that. So I'd say it was a good read if you're an Eva fan, and it just kind of like continues on of end of Eva and all that.
Okay, well, I'm a little scared to ask you, but what is the other thing? What is the other thing you have there?
If you're an Evangelion fan, and either for very long or very short, if you look it up, or if you just look up for memes and all that, you're going to know what this is. This is the Ray plush, which if you don't know, this is probably the biggest or the second biggest meme in the Evangelion, that every Evangelion fan knows and recognizes.
Well, clearly I'm not a fan, because before we did the podcast, I'm like, well, that's Ray. And I'm like, okay, what's the problem? And then Anastasia immediately shows me some little mini version of Ray.
Yeah.
Looks just like doing that weird alien baby
It
thing
was
that went
just
around.
dancing. I don't know.
They have a bunch of them. There's one off the top of my head. They have a meme where it's just this figure sitting on a spinny chair, just spinning.
Oh my gosh.
And then it's, I think they're playing either Fly Me to the Moon or it's just the opening for Evangelion.
So, Anastasia, when did you become aware of this meme?
I've known about it for ages.
For a long time.
I knew about this before I ever watched Eva.
What rock have I been under? So that's why you're giggling here, because you're aware of this.
Yes.
Now, Henry, because you speak Spanish, you said
Yeah.
the Spanish people know this as well.
There's another meme where it's Asuka, and it was one of the beginning episodes from the series where she goes like this when she's in the yellow dress, but they changed the dub where she goes Feliz Jueves, and that's just what they have. That's the other biggest Evangelion meme that they have. So it's either this or it's that.
Can I have your doll?
Go for it. The plush, yeah, go for it.
Because I'm going to start a new meme. Guess what I'm going to do to your thing?
Well, what you got?
Nothing. I'm kidding. It's Evangelion writing. I could do whatever I want, whatever ending I want to have. So let's hear.
It's frightening.
Yeah, you could. It's very frightening if you gave me. If this wasn't being recorded on the internet, there's no telling what I might come out of my mouth. Now that said, let us wrap this up with. Why is Evangelion so popular? So it took us through the course. We had to kind of get where we were at with it. His more in-depth information. Now we know that it can. And I didn't know there was that many different universes. But
there's more too.
I don't mean why is the first 26 episodes popular. All I got to do is watch a few movies, Anastasia. But why do you think the whole thing is so popular, or well known, or whatever you want to call popular to you?
The intro is very striking.
The music's a big part.
Yeah. I mean, it's not in the next Netflix version, but every single episode at the end credits, it's a different rendition of "Fly Me to the Moon," and it's very interesting. After I realized that was true, I watched a YouTube video of every single one of them, and it was fits the tone. It's super interesting. It's nothing I'd ever seen in an anime before.
Well, the character's really distinctive, and you asked me when we were watching it that some friends or something weren't too crazy about Asuka's character. Yeah. So since they're so distinctive characters, they can make merchandise of the characters. Rei is very much this person.
Yeah.
Shinji, but Asuka especially, right?
Yeah.
And they got their little tight suits on, so there's all that, and everyone's constantly complaining about they're 14 years old, yet they're dressed like that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and there may be some underlying Freudian stuff going on for people as well that are viewing that. But I think that you're saying between the music and the character design is so immediately you can attach yourself and never forget who those characters are. Would you agree that character design is a big part of it too?
Oh, definitely. And even the suits themselves kind of reflect the user's personality and all that stuff. So it's super distinct.
kind of color coded as well.
Yeah, they are color coded.
And Henry, why do you think the show, the franchise is so
It's
popular?
big, yeah. Well, I have to interject on something real quick. A lot of people do complain about them. Oh, they're 14 years old, whatever. The reboot movies, they're all 20.
Well, I love.
So they solve that. They solve that.
I love pointing that out, but I will mention that every time I point this out, Redhead over here says no.
They haven't aged. They're in the same bodies.
Yeah.
That was the Ava effect, as they said in the
The
movie.
Ava effect. Yeah.
But back to your question though, as to why I think the franchise is so popular. Well, it's just kind of to piggyback a little bit off of Anastasia. Well, first of all you have a timeless opening, which is considered to be one of the greatest, out there. And then you have these characters that are, like you said, you just can't forget them. You have, Shinji, who's a main character, who usually the main character you think, all right, he's a strong guy or he'll figure things out, whatever. Shinji kind of flips that on its head. It's
he's
like,
a hot mess, man.
Yeah, he's a hot mess.
Dude
has everything.
screams half the time.
Running away.
Hey, do your Shinji impersonation. All right, I guess let's see.
all I got.
Do you have no shame? Can you do a Shinji impersonation?
No, I don't have the scream. I just have the chair.
All I ever get from Shinji is a lot of primal screaming.
I mean, I could scream into the mic, but I don't think you'd enjoy that.
I think both of us would.
You need deep daddy issues and mommy issues. That boy's got both of them.
He's got both of them.
He's got that primal scream, trying to get in touch with my
Don't run away.
healthy version.
Don't run away.
Yeah.
I my take on why it's so popular is everything you guys said, of course, but its everlasting nature comes from it doesn't insult the audience at all. You're guessing through a whole lots of it, and you do get impart some of you on it. Now, I think you can watch Kiki's Delivery Service, and you're just left with this wonderful feeling. But it doesn't necessarily make me want to go plushies of stuff and live in the world, as it were. I think because we lose ourselves and we see, and I think now we're so used to watching self-help videos and looking at the childhood trauma we've all been through. This is all becoming the recent consciousness. Evangelion showed us what now we investigate thoroughly about the human condition pretty early on for something that is supposed to be communicated to a sellable product.
Yeah.
So I think it's mainly popular because it gets in your skin in some way, and it has attached itself to so many people that then can't wait to go tell their friends.
Personally, and to add on that as well, like other than like the visuals are stunning or the mechs are cool or anything, or just kind of the story the way it is, I feel like that as well, that story, that just like the depressingness of it and all that, I feel like there's a relatability that people have to it, and that kind of adds to why people like it. Because it's like, it's not just, one bad day, but it's like if you have, you're going through something or just, you're feeling like, oh, damn, life sucks lately, whatever. You kind of watch Evangelion. Obviously, it's not like it's not your like self-help book. This is how I solve it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna pilot an Evangelion.
Yeah. There are no solutions given here.
Yeah. It's just more like the way I see it, kind of what I was saying earlier, the endings of how the positive, the negative, like the good, the bad, and whatever, another good ending. It's just like, it's kind of like these are all the possibilities, and you kind of have to like move your life around and kind of fix it. That's kind of what I liked about it. It was just like, to me, it was like like I said, an eye opener where I can just be like, oh, I like this, and maybe I should take some advice from kind of what I took from it. Like you said, Kiki's Delivery Service, you're not gonna be like, oh, plushies, whatever, do that. But Evangelion, you kind of, you take what you get from there, and then you kind of do what you will with it, and that's kind of why it kind of goes into different, I'd say, layers of fans, where you have people who are, oh, I don't like it, it's too depressing, whatever, or, oh, I like it just for the mechs, and then you'll have the people who are like, oh, I love it deeply because of just everything about it, or how just the nature of it is. That's kind of why I think what you were saying, why it's so popular, it's just there's a lot of layers to it as to why people like it and all that.
You're forgetting something.
Oh my lord. Stop the presses.
Are you proud of me? I reminded you this time.
I'm very proud of you. I said, if I ever forget sock cam, don't you ever neglect. So now we have, this is the first time ever, I think we've had sock cam with a guest.
Yeah.
But this isn't going to surprise Henry. He, one, watches, but also he's part of the store, so he knows there's a sock cam. All right, young. Oh, look, we've already got sock cam on.
Yep, I already got it. I got it set up. And we've got a guest.
We've got a guest shoe cam.
Nope, I got you.
All right, one sock at a time. What's going on here?
I can't twist my leg to show it.
Sock cam is
Just take
turned
off your
into...
shoe. That's what I do.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
Anyway.
Well, depending.
There's a heartbeat in your floors. What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna freak out?
I don't know what's going on here. I think sock cams.
Here we go.
All right, you got Transformer shoes.
It's a Gundam.
Now we have to have shoe cam and sock cam.
No.
All right. Well, thank you, Henry, for joining in on the sock cam.
No problem,
So she's
no
not
problem.
the only person.
I'm free.
But what? Wait, what is your sock? I'm still confused.
It's the bird from Nevermore or Evermore.
The
sorry.
Raven.
What's
The Raven.
Evermore? A video game?
No.
Edgar Allan Poe.
It's the poem that Edgar Allan Poe wrote.
Yeah, there's more birds. It don't matter.
Do they both match? You know, because when we do your sock
Yeah,
cam,
they're just birds.
there's not another bird looking the other way.
No.
Tapping at your chamber
Yeah.
door.
All right. Well,
Chamber door.
well, that was sock cam. I almost missed it until you caught me.
Yes.
I never want to forget sock cam. And Henry, thank you for joining in on the
welcome.
podcast as well as the sock/shoe cam. It is now.
Anytime you'll have me.
I've enjoyed it. Mecha from Japan is here filming Gundam from Japan store in Tampa, Florida. You're always welcome to come say hi to Anastasia and I, who work here. And where our next podcast will be on something maybe a little less psychologically deep.
Yay.
All right, you guys. See ya.
Bye.